Welcome to DigitalK.
My name is Michael, and I run a podcast called Evolvement. Just a quick introduction. Would you like to introduce yourself, Patrick?
Yeah. So my name is Patrick McCorry. I did my PhD in Bitcoin back in 2013 when it was still... Actually, let's ask the audience, who knew about Bitcoin back in 2013? Raise your hand. Who thought it was a Ponzi scheme or a weird internet money? There you go, the same hands.
Who still does?
Yeah. So I did my PhD in Bitcoin back in 2013, and for the past 5 or 6 years, I've been doing research in cryptocurrencies. So I guess since about 2005, since the Lightning Network paper, most of my research has been focused on Offchain. And just 1 month ago, I actually quit my job in academia, and now I'm doing a startup around Offchain protocols, so hopefully this will be quite relevant.
So for people that aren't aware of maybe the struggles that Bitcoin faces, or Ethereum, or any of these platforms face, what is the issue with scalability right now? What is the thing that everybody's talking about and trying to solve?
So I think there's a really good way to illustrate this. So cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum, they only support around 7 to 10 transactions per second. And what we notice is that once we reach that ceiling, so once we go to 9 or 10 or 11 transactions per second, the fees will just skyrocket from 2 cents to $20. And we've seen that in December 2017. So one thing I want to ask you guys is, who would pay $20 for a Bitcoin transaction? I don't see any hands, actually. No maxis in the audience. Oh, one. There's one maxi. No, but this is really important. So why don't they scale? So at the heart of cryptocurrencies that makes them really beautiful, it's actually not really decentralization. I don't really like the word decentralization. It's being permissionless, that anyone can use the network, and it's also being accountable. So there's these miners, they're distributed. You know, they all went to scaling Bitcoin in Hong Kong. They go to the pub together. There's about 10 of them in the world. And the point is that we can hold them accountable. I can download the Bitcoin or Ethereum blockchain today. I can process every single transaction myself. So then when they propose a new block, I can independently verify that. I don't have to trust anyone. I can hold these miners accountable. And that's why we are struggling to scale the network. If we want 90% of peers, or most people in this room, to hold the miners accountable, we can't have gigameg blocks. We can't have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gigameg blocks. If we have that, then I don't have the bandwidth, computational resources to validate the blockchain in real time. And if I can't do that, I can no longer hold the miners accountable. So far, that's resulted in small transaction throughput.
For people that may not be super familiar with how blockchain works, what does it mean when you say hold the miners accountable? Yeah,
so this is important. So a lot of people describe these networks as distributed ledgers. And I think that's a terrible way to describe these networks. When you think of a distributed system, what you believe is that you send a task to the network and everyone shares the workload. But in cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum, everything's replicated. Basically, the blockchain is just a cryptographic dotted log. I download the blockchain, and I can recreate the same database as everyone else in this room. So when the miner broadcasts the block, you're actually sending this block to every single peer in the network, which could be 10,000 different computers. And every single computer is repeating the exact same work. So when I say we're holding the miners accountable, they produce a block, I receive it, I validate it, and then I update my database. So they're just doing a big batch update on a global scale. So in that case, that's how we're holding them accountable. When they perform this update, I'm confirming myself that it's valid. And I'll only accept it if it satisfies a set of rules that everyone agrees upon.
And also for people that are unfamiliar with scalability and the solution behind it, really, first off, why is this a problem? Why is it a problem that when we reach 10, 11 transactions per second, fees skyrocket? Why can't we keep it under 10 and 11 transactions per second?
So right now on the Bitcoin and Ethereum blockchain, every block has a fixed size. It can only be up to 1, 2 megabyte in size. Now the issue is that once you go above that limit, basically it's like a bin packing problem. There's a block that's produced every 10 minutes. It can fit 1 megabyte or 2 megabyte of transactions. So when there's too many transactions, you have these lists of pending unconfirmed transactions that are all competing to get in this box, to get in this block. If they all can't get in, then they have to compete on fees such that the miners will pick the transactions with the highest fees. So it's a bin packing problem, typical computer science problem. And people are just competing with how much they're willing to pay.
And specifically, we saw this happen in 2017 a lot, when a lot of people joined the network very quickly. And since then, and even a little bit before then, people have been building out solutions such as Lightning Network, other layer 2 solutions that are off-chain. Can you just share with the audience a little bit about what is an off-chain solution, what is Lightning Network, and how does it benefit this issue of scalability?
Okay, so basically off-chain, I don't really like to call off-chain a scalability solution per se. It doesn't increase the network's throughput. It doesn't increase the actual blockchain throughput. That will always remain 7, 10, 12 transactions per second, given the way it's designed today. The whole point of off-chain is this simple bit of intuition. Why do we have to send every single transaction to the network? If I'm connected to YouTube, and YouTube sends me a kilobyte, maybe I could pay the micropayments. So you send me a kilobyte, I give you Satoshi, megabyte, Satoshi, megabyte, Satoshi. So if we're doing this, rapid transfer, why do I need to send every single transaction to the network? So off-chain, at the heart of it, is just to reduce the network's load. What we can do is that I lock up $5 or 1 Bitcoin, and now you lock in a Bitcoin, and what we can do is you and I can just transact locally. I sign off a payment, I give it to you. You sign off a payment, you give it to me. We do this back and forth thousands of times, and now we never have to interact with the network. And what's really cool here is that, one, we bypass blockchain latency. We don't care how slow the network is, because we don't actually send the transaction out there. And then we bypass network fees. I don't have to pay the $20 fee anymore. I pay that once to set it up, and now you and I can transact thousands of times. So that's called a channel between two parties. Now, the Lightning Network is when you have a network of channels. There's thousands of channels out there. So today on the Lightning Network, there's over 40,000 channels. Now, what's really cool is that once you get this network, what if I want to pay Dave? Me and Dave, we don't have a channel. What we can do is find a path. I can find a path that will connect me and Dave on the network. And I can synchronize a payment across that network. So if you're in the middle, I'll pay you a small fee for helping me pay Dave. So what's really cool about stuff like the Lightning Network is actually it's more decentralized than Bitcoin. If you run a Lightning node, you can collect profit for doing that, because you're helping the network route payments. And now anyone in this room, you can set up a Lightning node, join the network, and earn fees for routing payments. So now it becomes this really cool routing network, a bit like Visa, but Visa on steroids, because it'll outcompete Visa in scalability.
And we know that Lightning Network has had its own struggles. What do you say about, for people that say, for example, I spoke with Roger Ver, he's the founder or whatever of Bitcoin Cash. He says that Lightning Network has pretty much failed, it's not going to work, things like that. What do you say to naysayers or disbelievers like that? Is this true, or
I think the issue is that a lot of people associate off-chain protocols with the blockchain wars. And they have this emotional tie to say, well, this has to fail, because my argument didn't win. What I actually see evolving is basically this open source, permissionless, and global financial system. Now, I've got a controversial opinion. I don't think Lightning's very good for payments. So a lot of people are right that I wouldn't use Lightning Network to do payments. What Lightning's going to excel as a routing network. What you're going to have are these non-custodial hubs, where I can connect to this hub, and they'll basically do most of my payments. So maybe this is RuneScape, Habbo Hotel, whatever service wants to have their own tokens or transfer Bitcoin. I can lock coins into them, and now I can pay this service with my Bitcoin. Now, what if I'm on RuneScape and I want to go to Habbo Hotel? Lightning's going to be in the middle. So Lightning excels at bidirectional payments. I'll be able to transfer my coin straight over the RuneScape within half a second. And then RuneScape, I can start doing my payments here, or Habbo Hotel, whatever. So what we're going to see emerge are thousands of non-custodial hubs that are providing services to users, and I'm going to lock my coins into that. And then when I want to transfer to another hub, Lightning's going to be there to do that transfer.
Cool. And do you think that this is a solution that's really needed? Do you see people building solutions around the actual peer-to-peer cash system, electronic cash system, and making that possible? Yep.
So basically this time last year, I got this Ethereum Foundation grant, which I was really lucky about, to start building out some of these protocols. But I also got a job in academia, so I got my assistant professorship. And back then I thought, off-chain, maybe it's still a couple of years away. We know how to design it. We're still designing a lot of the protocols. There were some dummy implementations, but it wasn't there yet. But about February this year, I finished my teaching, I reevaluated my life. I sat there one day, I was like a 5-year-old questioning everything, if you were at the talk yesterday. And I looked at what was going on. And Offchain's emerging. Lightning Network really does have like 40, 50,000 channels. It actually has a hardcore user base that actually wants to use it in real time. In the Ethereum world, we're now starting to see the rise of Plasma and other state channel protocols. And they're starting to emerge. So real-world implementations are emerging that people can use today. So actually, my conviction is that that's why I quit my job. And now I want to do this startup because I can actually see this coming. Maybe it's still 6 months away. Maybe it's still 1 year away. But it's going to come. And it's going to be, I don't want to say revolutionary. Maybe I'm being too cypherpunk there. But it's going to really do, it really will create a permissionless financial system that anyone can access.
I like it. And we've been really focusing on the Bitcoin side of things, but I do want to touch on Ethereum. And the same thing happened in 2017 with Cryptokitties. The network got flooded and pretty much backed up for days on end to be able to send Ethereum. What do you think about these solutions such as Casper, sharding, Plasma? Do you think that they're effective for Ethereum? Do you think a new protocol is going to come in and kind of take over? What's your opinion on that?
So yeah, there's basically 2 ways we can scale these networks. You reduce the network's load, this is off-chain, or you make a new blockchain protocol. You make a new blockchain, maybe use a DAG, maybe use some sharding, and that can increase the network's throughput. And we do need to increase the network's throughput. 6 transactions per second is a bit crazy. We should do 20, 30, 40. And these new blockchain protocols can do that. But there's still that trade-off. If you do 5,000 transactions per second, we'll lose the one thing that makes cryptocurrency so beautiful: holding the miners accountable, independently verifying everything yourself. So there is a scalability limit where there's this trade-off where you say, I want this throughput, so 90% of peers can afford to use the network. That's why I asked everyone here, would you pay $20 for a Bitcoin transaction? One person would. So Bitcoin's taking the trade-off where not everyone will be able to afford to use the network, but everyone will be able to verify it. So there's this trade-off between who can afford it, and that'll decide your throughput, and how many people you want to verify the network in real time. So that'll be really the trade-off in these new blockchain protocols. And I think it's going to sit around 100 transactions per second, 30 transactions per second. I don't think we'll achieve 5,000 transactions per second without giving up that verification trade-off, holding the miners accountable.
Do you think it's necessary for us to achieve 5,000 transactions per second?
Not with off-chain. Okay. I mean, really, the whole point of these blockchains is that we shouldn't be doing every transaction on the network anyway. Because if you're a business, for example, you have to think about your cash flow. If I have to send a transaction for everything I want to do for my business, I'm now paying network fees that are unpredictable. Really what you want is this off-chain solution where you pay up once, and you and I can just transact locally. I don't have to worry about the cash flow as much. It doesn't cost anything, it's free. So that's why I think everything's mostly going to be off-chain. And that's why I'm a huge believer in the fact that Lightning will be this really network, and you will get these non-custodial operators. To begin with, that'll be payments, and for them, that's effectively free. Eventually, there'll be smart contracts. Maybe it'll be a CryptoKitty side chain. Actually, who bought CryptoKitties? Who raised your hand if you bought Crypto? We got one CryptoKitty fan.
I got 2.
2. There's always a CryptoKitty fan. Someday there'll be maybe an off-chain Plasma chain where you can do your CryptoKitty game, and you don't have to pay network fees. So you can still auction your kitties and breed them. That's what we want to do with our kitties.
I love it, man. I love it. And how did you get passionate about it? How does that tie into what you're building right now? And
for Bitcoin. So I started in Bitcoin in 2013. I was actually an undergraduate in 2012, and I really wanted to do a PhD in cryptography. So I went to meet my soon-to-be advisor, Fong Hao, and he told me about this cryptocurrency called Bitcoin, cryptography. So I got really excited thinking, oh, this is going to be a really cool cryptography project. So I went home, I read the news articles, and I just seen, wow, they're actually building this weird internet money that doesn't use banks. That's just so exciting. So then I dived into it. And the disclaimer is that cryptocurrencies don't really use any sophisticated cryptography. Bitcoin uses hash functions and signatures. It's very simple to learn, so I was disappointed by that. But then I got into these IRC chat rooms like Bitcoin Dev and Bitcoin Wizards. And because there was no academic papers, I should mention that. There were only 4 academic papers when I started. So there's very few resources I could use to learn. So then I joined this close-knit community it was basically everyone in their bedrooms, because back then Bitcoin wasn't worth anything. And we were just chatting about this whole new future of this global payment system that anyone can access and anyone can use. And that sort of changed my philosophy of life. It makes you question the nature of money. You know, one thing I told the students last year was, you work your entire life for a salary, and then the European Central Bank puts up a tweet to say they can print your salary in a day, or within a second. You know, they can just print money that we take our entire lifetime to earn. When you think about it like that, it's crazy that we actually work our entire lives for a salary. Really, money should not be easily printable by a central authority. You know, if I actually earn money, it should be really worth something. It shouldn't be, you know, degraded in 10 years' time, or within a couple of seconds by inflation. Like, Venezuela is the perfect case of that. The currency had like 10 million% inflation or something crazy like that. So everyone lost their life savings. Yes, we do need some form of sound money in that sense.
Agreed. 100% agreed.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thanks for coming up, answering some questions and stuff like that.
Yeah. I can ask you one question if you still have
Ask me
time.
a question. Yeah, sure. We got. I can't see the time thing over there, but
60 seconds.
60 seconds.
Yeah.
Perfect. We got.
So what got you interested in cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum?
Initially, it was 2012, 13 timeframe, and I was just in college, and my buddies were like, well, we need to buy these things on the internet, and the only way to do so was with Bitcoin via the Silk Road, you know? And,
permissionless.
Yeah, permissionless, exactly. So that was the first thing I was like, what, like, okay, I have to, like ask my minor friend, like he knew everything about the digital realm. He's like, I was like, how do I get Bitcoin, man? Like, how does this work? And that was like the initial introduction. And then I sat down in like 2013, 2014 and just studied Litecoin and like why this was all relevant, why this was all important. And yeah.
Actually, there's one thing I want to add before we go. I think it sort of alludes to that, like the permissionless nature. What I discover now is that you get all these kids in their bedrooms building high-frequency trading bots. You know, I'm sure some people have done it here. They're sitting there making their little machine learning algorithms to buy and sell tokens in real time. That's the real killer use case. We're going to build a whole new financial system where basically people can buy and sell stock in real time, and it's permissionless because anyone can do it.